Hey, it's Greg, your community geek at it again. So I've got another tech tip for you. This one was that someone asked me why their device was taking so long to charge. And my first instinct went towards their wall wart, the actual charging device that they're using. So if you'll bear with me, I'd love to use the demo desk again. My wife has remodeled the office so it'll look better on video, but I still want to get a chance to play with the other cameras. So let me switch. Let me turn on my little business card, and I'm going to switch over to here. Oh, and I got a better shot than that. Let's see here. We can do this one over the shoulder. And so what I've got here is I've got my little wall wart, and then I've got a whole row of these here that I'll show. And then on that side, I even have some wires I want to show you. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go back into the overhead that we used last time. And I do not want this to turn into an electrical training video type thing, but I do want to talk about this for a minute, is that these chargers all look the same. They have regular USB ports on them, and I'm trying to remember which one's the one that I think it's over this one. Yeah, this is the one. So they all look very similar. I'll lay them here for a moment. And what's important is you'll hear them talk about wattage and amperage. Most of these, it's probably easiest to pull the amperage off the little label. And if you'll notice, I started writing on all mine, so my apologies about that. Because that's what I do every time I get one of these things. So this one that came with an iPad, this one is a 2 amp charger. You can see where I've got the little 2 amp on it there. This one that came with a original iPhone, this is only a 1 amp. And all that matters is the amount of push that it gets. And then the slightly larger one, I don't recall what this came with, is 0.2 amps. So it's very little power that goes through this device in comparison to this guy. And then they come in all different shapes and sizes. So the big one I've got over here, this is they call it 140 watt, but this is the one you would use for charging the iPad. And it's very difficult to read. I probably could throw some of these little things up on the video, but the electronics in this allow this to do different voltages and different amperages depending on what it detects as the device at the other end. And then recently, there's this one that came with the iPad. And then recently I got this one, which is the Anchor version, which is slightly smaller, which is pretty neat. But more importantly to me is it actually has a whole series of ports that I can use when I just have to plug in one wall wart, and I can plug in probably 2 laptops, an iPad or something, and still have a device. These are all pretty high powered ports on here. So this I really appreciate. Now, keeping the amount of power push in the back of your mind, they've got these. So these types of devices that have multiple charge ports on them, just one plug in the wall, this guy happens to be 3 amps, same as this one. So the only downside is if you plug in 3 different devices into it, you've actually subdivided the 3 amps. Not every port is 3 amps. It's simply the entire device puts out 3 amps. So now I'm back down to 1 amp, which is what this little guy does. And then keeping that in mind, let me think, this is kind of fun, is that for the parade, actually, we had one of these chargers, and then we plugged it into one of these strip plugs that allowed us to have a whole bunch of ports to plug in those like little fairy lights. And what was funny is that once we started plugging them in, we got to like, I don't know what it was, number 5, and they turned off. And I'm like, well, there's our limit. We've subdivided our 3 amps down as far as it'll go where the lights will light. So keep that in mind, that you're always subdividing what's there. And then one more thing to think about is the USB-C ports you're starting to see out on the market. They actually can also push 9 volt. So if you've got one of these they're not all going to be 5 volt. There's also a 9 volt component of it. So you do want to check what the amperage is on each if you're trying to compare multiple chargers. But do be careful what you're using. And so if you'll give me just a moment more, I want to show you one more thing, which is I've got this little cable. Actually, I want to do this one first. So I've got this little cable tester, and I do this because I've got so many cables around here for all different types of devices. And this little guy will actually tell me which wires are active in the port in the wire. So this one is, it's got a little bit of data on it, but primarily this is a charging cable. But it will pass a little bit of data. In comparison, I've got one over here that has, by the way, both of these are USB-C. And this is one that goes with one of my hard drives, and it has all the ports lit up. So this is a high speed data cable. So I only show this to you because you might want to keep track of the cables that also come with your device, namely if you're using something for data. So for example, I have this hard drive that I use when I'm doing the video work and such, and I've actually zip tied the cables that came with it to the drive, because that way I know that the max speed of transferring these data files to like my computer will be achieved with these cables. And that way I don't by chance maybe put this on something else to charge mice or something, or use it to charge flashlights or something like that, and then I've lost track of the cable. So know that there are some other little tricks to the trade. So all right, with that, I'll let everybody go. I'll only ask that I got this from some feedback. I've got 2 others that came up, but they had to be private videos because they were very specific to that person's account, and we had to log into their account and such. But please send me some feedback. I'd love to do some more of these. And like I mentioned, the office has been somewhat redecorated, and stuff has been thrown away and cleaned up a little bit. So I'm back in the mood of making some videos. You enjoy. Nice talking with you.